They say every day is for the thief, one day for the owner of the house. But ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, has reversed the role. It is now every day for the owner of the house. If you're involved in bribery, over-invoicing, or any shady deal, the day of reckoning has come. ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission, is watching you. If you're reported for any corrupt practice, you'll be investigated, prosecuted, and punished. Corruption is harmful to our nation. Join the campaign against it by reporting any corrupt practice to ICPC, the Anti-Corruption Commission.
Let we join hands with ICPC, make them better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
ICPC, they watch you.
For corruption.
Hello viewers, and thank you for joining us for yet another interesting edition of your program Corruption Must Go. I am your host for today, Muruna Barnabas Atiai. Last week Wednesday, we brought you the first part of some of the achievements of ICPC in 2022 in line with her three-pronged mandate of enforcement, prevention and public enlightenment. Today on the program, we shall continue in the same vein to bring you more on what ICPC did in 2022. But first, let us join Ruth Awodi as she brings us anti-corruption stories. Over to you, Ruth.
Welcome to this segment on Anti-Corruption Stories. I am Ruth Awodi. In continuation of its clampdown at elements frustrating efforts in making the redesigned Naira notes available to members of the public, ICPC has arrested an official of one of the commercial banks for alleged sabotage. The bank official, who is the branch service head of Stanbic IBTC Bank, Dede Branch, Abuja, was taken into custody for her deliberate refusal to upload cash into the branch's automated teller machine, ATM, even when the cash was available and people were queuing at the ATMs. When the ICPC monitoring team stormed the bank to ensure compliance and demanded explanation as to why all the ATMs were not dispensing cash, it was informed by the branch's head of operations that the bank just got delivery of the cash. However, facts available to the ICPC operatives indicated that the branch took delivery of the cash earlier and either willfully or maliciously refused to feed the ATMs with the cash. Against this backdrop, the ICPC team compelled the bank to load the ATMs with the redesigned Naira notes and ensured that they were all dispensing before arresting the culprit. Investigations are still ongoing and the Commission will take appropriate actions as soon as they are concluded.
This morning, look at money lying down.
This is what time now? This is past one already.
And this
What have done that they'll close work?
practice is maybe. Our purpose is to see how you pull our in when it is meant to all of you. When we enter this morning, money have not been supplied to them. We have entered their vote, there's no money. We have also checked the ATM, there's no money. But we have also communicated the main branch, there's money in the main branch, is on the way. And we will make sure that the money comes to you people.
God bless you.
In a related development, the ICPC compliance team in Oshogbo has busted a First City Monument Bank FCMB in Oshogbo, Osun State, where some ATMs were loaded with cash with their wrappers unremoved, thus preventing the cash from being dispensed. The operation manager of the bank was arrested and taken in for questioning. Similarly, 7 point-of-sale POS operators as well as a security guard were arrested during the ongoing exercise in Osun State for charging exorbitant commissions for cash. Investigations, however, revealed that they got the money from filling stations that collect new notes from fuel buyers, but they then resell the cash to the public at exorbitant rates. The arrested persons are helping the Commission with information to assist investigations and bust any syndicates involved in the hoarding or sales of the redesigned notes.
Make 'em better.
Let's make Nigeria great again.
In another development, 2 officials of FCMB Ogooluwa Osogbo have been taken into custody for assault of officers of ICPC and CBN cash swap monitoring team. Recall that it was reported last week that the said branch was caught twice for loading wrapped banknotes inside its ATM. The team, on a follow-up visit to ascertain the bank's compliance level, was assaulted right inside the branch manager's office by the bank officials who vehemently refused to allow ICPC carry out its lawful duty and then held hostage for about 2 hours. By the time the reinforcement of police and NSCDC officers arrived at the scene of the incident, the masterminds of the assault had gone into hiding, leading to the arrest of 2 bank officers who were also complicit. That will be all on this segment. Corruption Must Go continues with Murna. Stay with us.
You're welcome back. In its effort at ensuring satisfactory execution of all zonal intervention projects and obtaining value for money released, and in view of the huge successes achieved in the last 3 phases of the constituency and executive project tracking initiative, ICPC launched the phases 4 and 5 of the exercise last year. While Phase 4 was targeted at 543 special executive projects in 19 states, Phase 5 saw the tracking of 1,178 projects in 20 states across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Mr. Hafiz Hassan, who is the head of the Constituency and Executive Project Tracking Unit of the Commission, tells us more on the exercise and some of the success stories.
The findings that were discovered, phases 4 and 5, were basically similar, and they were not too far away from the findings that we've had in the previous phases that the Commission had conducted. You have largely budget padding, politicization of projects items, inflation of contract sums, hoarding of empowerment items, shortly execution of projects, underperformance of projects, conspiracy between contractors and the project supervisors. In some cases, we also found where some sponsors of projects were even collecting money upfront from contractors, promising them that this particular project that I have nominated in the budget, I will make sure the contract is awarded to you, and they get something in that regard. Yeah, so basically those were the findings, and they were basically the same. The only difference that we found is that the only difference between the two phases in our findings is basically that in the executive project, that is phase 4, we had more of the budget padding problem than basically on the zonal intervention projects. And the budget analysis that the Commission has conducted in 2022, in fact, in one instance, a particular senator had projects that were sponsored, so to speak, or facilitated by her for one person, one senatorial district, to the tune of over 8 billion naira. Just one person alone. So those were the findings that we uncovered in these two phases. From these findings and our discoveries there, what the Commission did was, first, for shoddily executed projects, we forced all the contractors to go back to site and take remedial actions on those projects and remedy the defects. For those ones that were not completed or abandoned, the contractors were forced back to site to go and complete or conclude the execution of the project. Now, bearing in mind the fact that contractors that were paid for shoddily executed projects or non-completion of projects were paid on the basis of the fact that the project supervisor assigned by the agency, the executing agency, certified the project as having been satisfactorily completed. It was on that basis that the contractor was paid. So the Commission now has taken a step or a measure to focus more on those project supervisors that have the penchant to certify non-completed project or non-executed project or shoddily executed project as having been satisfactorily completed. Now, we moved against them. Some of them are undergoing administrative actions. Some are already under prosecution. And then a few of the contractors in egregious circumstances have also been taken to court on that. Then we made recoveries in appropriate cases. I think in phase 4, our asset recovery came to about 256 million. Cash recovery was 196. And then phase 5, assets recovered came to 791 million, while cash recovered was, as at February 13th, 219 million naira. So we made recoveries, we forced contractors to go back to site to take remedial action, and then prosecutions are ongoing, administrative actions are ongoing in appropriate cases.
If you're just tuning in, this is Corruption Must Go, a production of the Public Enlightenment and Education Department of ICPC. Interestingly, in 2022, the Commission stepped up its public enlightenment campaigns by initiating participatory and attitudinal change programs that would involve all Nigerians in order to enlist and foster their support in the fight against corruption. Mrs. Azuka Ogugwa, the Commission spokesperson, tells us more about these initiatives.
Our achievements in 2022 are along the lines of the electronic platform, social media platform, print media, and media relations, as well as public relations. In the electronic media platform, we have a program called Corruption Must Go in English language, where we're able to produce 44 episodes of this program and air it on NTA Network and NTA International on Wednesdays by 3:30 p.m. We are also able to produce episodes of Corruption Must Go in the 3 major Nigerian languages, Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. This airs on NTA Star Times on the NTA languages, NTA Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba, and Nigerians at the grassroots get these programs in their own languages. That is for the electronic media. Then for the print media, we have our newsletter called ICPC News. We use it to distribute our news, print it out, share it to MDAs, embassies, international organizations. It outlines all our activities. We have our in-house newsletter called Integrity House, where we share in-house news to our staff and members of the management and board. We just share things that pertain to ICPC alone. Then on social media, we have 4 major platforms that we use. We are on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and our handle is at ICPC Nigeria. On these platforms, we engage with the public, we share our news, and it's very interactive. You know, it's real time. As you are putting out a news, Nigerians respond. So we're able to share our news on this platform, get the response, and run with it. Some negative, positive feedbacks we get immediately. We respond immediately. We held a couple of Twitter spaces last year, and we ran with it. Then our toll-free numbers for making complaints and reports about corruption and also inquiries, we're able to go from having a smart number 0800 call ICPC, which is 0800 2255 4272, to getting a short code 4272, which is simply ICPC 4272. We got this short code, so it's easier for you to remember. When you think of ICPC, you call us. It is toll free on MTN, Glo, 9 Mobile, and Airtel. So you can call us and you speak to us on the issues. We got this last year. And then finally, media relations. We started last year with engagement with the media. We held a training, a capacity building, and interactive session with the media. That is just in summary some of our achievements in the year 2022.
A lot of the educational programs were equally recorded in 2022. These programs covered all the stakeholders in their different categories, such as children, youths, religious leaders, traditional rulers, and so on. Mr. John Odi, who is the head of Education Division, tells us more.
With regards to what the Education Division was able to do, what we were able to achieve in the year 2022, we basically continued from where we stopped in 2021. And what are the things that we set out to do in 2022? We set out to, 1, promote the National Ethics and Integrity Policy amongst critical stakeholders, and our stakeholders include traditional rulers, youths, women organization, civil society organization, religious leaders, and the likes, including the civil service population. That was 1, promoting the National Ethics and Integrity Policy, catching them young in schools, secondary schools, primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions, setting up clubs and what we call the Student Anti-Corruption Vanguard. At the primary and secondary school level, we call them Student Anti-Corruption Clubs. At the tertiary institution level, we call it the Student Anti-Corruption Vanguard. We also set out to hold conversations by way of educating the working populace. We engaged with anti-corruption and transparency monitoring units in federal government ministries, departments, and agencies. We engage with state government agencies too. And in the year 2022, we held a series of sensitization workshops, seminars, conferences across the country, across the 6 geopolitical zones. I think in 2022 we were able to cover more than 26 states including the FCT, where we interacted with this segment of critical stakeholders I had mentioned earlier. What did we achieve with that? I will say we achieved 3 basic things. 1, we increased the awareness of the content, the intent, content, intention of the National Ethics and Integrity Policy. The content being the 7 core values of this policy. An important point to note is when we met with traditional rulers and religious leaders, they received us warmly, and the Sultan of Sokoto, who is the chairman, who is the co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, because he co-chairs that with the Oni of Ife, told us that it was making impact. Him, along with other traditional rulers, said it was making impact, and that they would advise that we take it further down to the grassroots. They encouraged the ICPC to come with this lofty program to their domains, to the grassroots, that we should work with the state government and ensure that it gets to every nook and corner of Nigeria, because to them, they see it as a platform that can actually bring about a new Nigeria. So it means it is having impact, and we are grateful that it is making that impact. Even the religious leaders said the same thing. The youths too are beginning to imbibe it and beginning to change their attitude. The anti-corruption clubs we set up in schools, they've always been there, but we keep opening new ones in other schools that didn't have them before, and we keep engaging with them, talking to them, teaching them, exposing the values contained therein in the National Values Curriculum and in the National Ethics and Integrity Policy to them, and talking to them generally on the need to avoid getting involved in corrupt practices at their level, such as telling lies, exam malpractices, cultism, and all other vices that will not help the system.
You're watching Corruption Must Go. As part of its efforts to consolidate on the gains of the fight against corruption, ICPC ensures that human resources are given premium attention and trainings are highly optimized. In 2022, ICPC held training programs in investigation, prosecution, and case management for its officers and others, both physically and virtually, with over 1,700 participants. 4 members of staff were certified as polygraph examiners, having completed the Forensic Psychophysiologist Examiner curriculum of the Academy for Scientific Investigative Training. In the same vein, the Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, ACAN, the training arm of ICPC, held 30 trainings with over 2,000 individuals participating. ICPC is poised to do more this year and is calling on everyone to join the fight against corruption by speaking up and reporting every act of corruption to ICPC on 0800 2255 4272. Also follow us on our social media handles showing on your screen. Remember to tune in next week, Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. for another edition of Corruption Must Go. Thank you for watching. I am Murna Barnabas Atiai. Bye for now.